Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, ChaosWulff here, and welcome back to the Elite Dangerous Beta Server. Today, we are going to be taking a little bit of a preview look at the new mining mechanics that are going to be released in 1.3. Now, I have, for this purpose, got myself a little adder. Unfortunately, this one is not painted ducky yellow because I don't have ducky yellow on my main account, unfortunately. So what we're going to be doing is going off into the outfitting department, and we are going to be having a look at actually outfitting this ship for mining. One of the great things about the adder is the amount of internal compartments it actually has. So what we can do is actually put in some specialised pieces of equipment for mining, which have just recently been introduced into the 1.3 beta. And first of all is we have prospector limpets. Now, each one here we can see has a couple of stats, and we have the two main important ones are, first of all, is the maximum active limpets and the active range of limpet. As with all class 1 controllers, you will only ever be able to control one drone at a time on all class 1s. In order to actually control more drones, you need to go up larger drone controllers, not just better quality. The quality does something else entirely, and we will have a look at that just now. So where are we? Prospector limpets, here we go. So E limpet, active range 3000 meters, grade D 4000 meters, all the way up to an A, which is 7000 meters, which means you can actually still maintain contact with the drone that you are controlling with this controller up to 7,000 meters away. So 7 kilometers away, you can actually still control that drone. So that is the difference between the different ratings of the drone controllers. But what you want as well is the... Here we go, let's have a look here. Still a module type, so we'll scroll down back to the prospector drones, and we'll go and have a look at the class 3s. So if we hover over one of these class 3s, the 3E, as you can see here, that allows us to control 2 limpets at one time. And it actually has a slightly boosted range on all of these. So if we go all the way to the A3, it is 2 active limpets and 7.7 kilometer active range. And what these particular prospector drones do is they control a limpet that you can actually fire off ahead of your ship, and it will attach itself to an asteroid. It will then tell you what is in that asteroid, so you don't actually have to go and mine it. But it does require the use of one of your drones, which you cannot actually get back. Now what we're looking at now is the collector limpets, which are the next piece of equipment that you can use in your mining ship. Now, let's first of all look at the E1 collector limpet. Now, what this does is it allows you to control one drone, and it allows you to pick up any items within an 800 meter range, and you can control it within an 800 meter range. If your drone goes outside of 800 meters, it will deactivate and self-destruct. And also, it has a lifetime of 300 seconds, so that's how long it takes until the fuel runs out in that drone. Then we can go all the way up to an A3. That allows us... Oh, sorry, wrong one. That's the prospector one. There we go. A3 collector limpet. That allows us to have a maximum of 2 active drones, so 2 drones collecting for us. So up to a maximum range of 1.32 kilometers, they can collect all your mined chunks, and you can still control them. If they go beyond that, again, poof, they are gone. But this time, they have a lifetime of 720 seconds, so that means that you will have them for longer. So the better quality collector limpet controller you have, the less drones you're going to be using over a longer period of time. So in this case, it is better to go for the best class and the best rating that you can afford. So let's actually go and outfit this ship the best way we can for mining. As for the internals, everything all the way down to the fuel tank is completely standard apart from the power distributor. Now the reason for this is we do want to be able to fire off our mining laser for as long as possible so we have the least downtime, so that we can actually mine as quick as possible, because it is a speed game. Now what else we've got inside in the optional racks is we have 2 sets of 8 cargo racks, so we have 16 tons of cargo capacity maximum. The next one we have is the E2 shield generator, which is the smallest, cheapest one I can get for this ship, just to give you a little bit of protection. You can upgrade this to an A2, you can even just completely go without it if you want a little bit more cargo space. You can get an extra 4 tons of cargo space out of this. Now the next one is a E2 refinery. And the reason I actually went for an E2 refinery bin is that the E1 refinery only has one bin, one hopper in the actual refinery. The E2, which is the one that we have actually installed, where is it? There we go, automatically comes with 2 bins. So it's the cheapest option to get multiple bins. We could even upgrade to a D2 bin. If you can't afford it, go for the cheapest one you can, but I would recommend going for at least a refinery with 2 bins in there. If you can at all help it, go for one with 3 bins, because the way Frontier have actually changed the asteroid mining is that a lot of the asteroids will actually have up to 3 materials in per asteroid, and this just makes it so much easier and faster to actually be able to mine a single asteroid. So if you can afford it, go for a hopper with, well, go for a refinery with 3 hoppers or 3 bins, because it will make your life so much easier. And last but not least, we have actually gone for the controller limpet controller. Sorry, the collector limpet controller even. And the reason we've gone for an A1 is because the next class up, the next size up, is actually a class 3. There are no class 2 controllers. So it goes straight from class 1 to class 3. And we do not want to be getting rid of 8 tons of cargo space just to be able to control an extra 1 drone. It really just, it's a balancing thing. Do you want to have more drones or do you want to have more cargo space? And at this lower level, you want to have the more cargo space. And what this one will allow us to do is it will allow us to control 1 drone to 1.2 kilometers away, and the drone has a 720-second life cycle. So you are getting the most use out of your drones. So in other words, you won't need to be firing them off as often. Now, the reason we have not gone for a prospector drone in this ship is, again, if you want to have a shield, then you can't really afford to have a prospector drone. Plus, the prospector drones are only really useful in larger ships if you don't want to waste time mining one chunk off an asteroid to go and find out how much is in there, or what is in there. So you just completely ignore that, and you just mine a little bit, decide whether or not you want what is in that asteroid, and then you will mine what you want, and whilst you're mining, you will send off one of your collector drones to go and pick up everything you're mining. So in the smaller ships, the prospector drones really are not as much use. But now what we're going to go do is have a look at a Type 6 that I have actually outfitted for mining. Okay, so here we are with the Type 6. Now, I have actually been out practicing my mining in this ship, and I do find this to be a really nice mining ship. Now, I have actually fitted this out with 2 small mining lasers. The reason for this is that this ship does actually have both the power requirements and the power distributor to actually be able to fire these lasers off almost constantly, if you have all 4 pips into weapons. Going into the internals, I've still got the lightweight alloys, but I have actually upgraded the vast majority of this ship to A-class rating. Now, I haven't bothered with the life support or the sensors because you don't really need them for mining. Maybe the life support if you are worried about getting into a fight and having your canopy blown out. Yes, you can quite happily just upgrade that all the way to Class A. But I don't usually bother. And so pretty much all that is upgraded quite nicely, but I have also upgraded the internals. Now what we've got here is 2 Class 5 cargo racks and 1 Class 4 cargo racks, which gives us a grand total of 80 tons of cargo space, which is extremely nice. Here we go. The next one we have actually gone for is the A4 refinery. And the reason I went for an A4 is because it actually gives us a whopping 10 refinery bins. So we can actually be processing up to 10 different items at a time. So that is extremely useful, especially in the larger ships. In the smaller ships, you can get away with having as little as 1, 2, or 3. 3 being the preferable optimal amount. But anything above the highest number of bins you can get, go for it. That's the best you can actually go for. Now, I didn't want to actually sacrifice a Class 5 slot for this refinery because I didn't want to lose the 16 tons of cargo space. So, in grand total, I would have gone up several bins, but I would have gone down 8 tons in total, so I'd only be on 72 tons of internal cargo space. So, the next one is the shield generator. Now, the reason I have actually upgraded the shield generator to A3 on this ship is because this is the kind of ship that I would be expecting to take into the high-intensity resource extraction site, which is one of the new types of extraction sites that have actually been introduced into the game since 1.3. We now have 3 different types of resource extraction site. We have low intensity, normal intensity, well, not normal intensity, they're just called normal extraction sites, and high intensity resource extraction sites. Now, the next things as well is we have gone for both the collector drones and the prospector drones. Now, both of these are only up to Class 1 because you can't get Class 2. And I didn't want to either give up my shield or one of the Class 4 slots. For a Type 6, this is the most optimal way of putting these around by getting the greatest amount of cargo out. If you're happy dropping down 8 tons of cargo, then go ahead. You can actually swap these things around a little bit. So in the end, we are able to control 2 drones at a time, 1 for collecting and 1 for prospecting. But now we're going to go have a look at the ship that I feel that is best suited for mining at the moment in the game. That's right, it's the Asp. Did you see this one coming? Now, the reason I have actually selected the Asp as one of the best ships to actually go mining with now is a mix between its hardpoint setup and its internal setup. Now, hardpoint setup wise, we can actually have 2 medium mining lasers. Now, I haven't actually tested this fully as yet, but what we have is the 2 medium mining lasers. I'm pretty confident that we can actually be able to fire these off almost indefinitely. And if not, you're still going to be able to mine a good amount of material before your capacitor depletes and you have to wait to recharge. But the next thing as well is the fact that we have a grand total of 6 hardpoints. The 2 mediums, which I'm going to be using for the mining lasers, so I can mine as much as I can as fast as I can. And the small ones, which I am actually going to be using for 2 small gimbaled multi-cannons and 2 small gimbal burst lasers. So I can actually defend myself if pirates do come around. And for the 4 other utility mounts, what I have actually done is put in some shield boosters to fill this ship up to as close to its maximum potential power supply as I am comfortable with at the moment. So basically, we have the survivability with the lower shield rating. Well, with the lower shield class. And next, we are moving on to have a look at the internals. I've still gone for the lightweight alloy. Power plant, I've maxed out. Thrusters, I've maxed out. Frame shift drive, I've maxed out. As I have with the life support, power distributor, and sensors. Just because I had the power to play with it, and I had pretty much an infinite budget, so I thought, why not? If you are on a budget, you can be a little bit more conservative with the with this sweep of internal compartments up here. Now, again, another reason why I think the Asp is such an amazing mining machine is have a look down here. We have a maximum of 100 tons of cargo capacity, so this is even better than the Type 6. Which makes sense because the Asp is 5 times more expensive than the Type 6, so you would expect to have some bonuses. And with the ability to defend yourself and have more cargo, I think this is pretty much a no-brainer. Not to mention I can paint this black as well. But as you can see, we have got two internal compartments of 164, 132, and a little additional 4 ton of cargo space down here. So that's the grand total of 100 tons. We've got a maximum size of A3 shield generator. So it's an A3. We could have an A6, but we don't want to pass up either the 64 or the 32 ton cargo slot. I'd rather pass up a 16 ton cargo slot and actually just go for the smallest shield I can, but the best quality shield. Now, if you want, you can just do away with the shield as well and put yourself in another set of cargo racks, which will take you up to 116 tons of internal cargo space. But this is the point when you start juggling, well, I'm not actually going to be sitting out there for all that long to be able to fill all these tons of cargo space, even with the drone collectors. So it's better to have a slightly lower maximum cargo and actually be able to survive as well. Especially since you are kind of limited by however many drones you can carry at a time. But again, next we are going to an A3 refinery, and the reason for this is we're pretty much going for 8 refinery bins. And because there are no class 4 internal slots here, I would have to give up one of my class 5s. So class 3 refinery is the most I'm willing to stretch to. Now, next up is a class 3 collector limpet controller, which, as we saw before, will allow us to control up to 2 limpets at a time at a range of 1.2 kilometers. So that is quite nice. So that's going to allow us to pick up a lot of material really quickly. Again, we back down to the cargo rack and then the prospector limpet controller. So we can fire off 1 prospector limpet. I don't see the point in having more than 1 prospector limpet at any one time. Because for me, I'd just confuse myself with which one was which, because you can control more than 1 prospector limpet, but I think having 1 is more than enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go out, have a quick look at how this actually works in the resource extraction sites. Alrighty guys, so here we are actually out in Super Cruise before we actually get to the resource extraction sites. And you can see that we have 2, there we go. We've got 1 normal resource extraction site there. We have 1 low intensity there, 1 low intensity there. Oh, was that a low intensity? Yeah. And we also have a high intensity resource extraction site. Now, the reason I am going to go to the high intensity resource extraction site is I can actually defend myself, and also the the standard resources extraction site over there is actually out in the outside ring of this gas giant, which is actually a rocky ring. So the inner ring is actually metal rich, so I'm going to be wanting to go there, as I'm going to be getting much better mineable materials from there. Now, we could actually go to one of these asteroid belts, but again, these are rocky and not all that interesting. If they were either metal rich or metallic, I might consider it. So first thing we want to do is we want to go and have a look over at our fire groups, because we have 3 fire groups set up for this ship. I'm going to just slow down a little bit first, and we have 2 that are set up with mining lasers, one for mining lasers with the collector limpet, and 1 for mining lasers with the prospector limpet. And the last one is just our self-defense fire group. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our weapons out now, and what we're going to do is I am going to swap around to my prospecting fire group. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my lights, and I am going to stop here and fire off a prospector limpet at this big spinning asteroid ahead of us.
Programming limpet drone.
So we're firing off the limpet drone. You can see it going there.
Prospector limpet engaged.
And as soon as you hear that little tone there, a prospector limpet drone engaged, it means it's actually connected and doing its job. But Chaos, I hear you say. There's no information coming from that drone. Alright, okay, glad you asked. What you actually have to do is you actually have to go and target it. Now, if you look down at the target panel, it will actually tell you exactly what is in this asteroid. And we have uranite and lepidolite. per chunk we are going to be getting 10% of uranite and 16% of lepidolite. Now, I'm not really liking those materials in that asteroid, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin around and I'm going to fire off a drone at this rock here, but I'll target it as it goes so I can find out what it is as soon as it connects. Again, that's 23% lepidolite. Again, I'm not too worried because that stuff doesn't sell for all that much. And there we go, Prospector failed because we can only control one at a time. And the newest one is always going to be the one that's going to be controlled.
Prospector limpet engaged.
And there we go, we have 13% uranite in that one. And it even tells you how much you have left in the actual asteroid itself. You can see minerals remaining 100%.
Programming limpet drone.
I'll fire this one over here. Connect that one, so that's going to that one, that asteroid over there. And we can move over towards this one and get ready to fire off a second limpet if need be. Oh, there we go, Bertrandite. We have Bertrandite and silver and a little bit of lepidolite. So I'm liking the look of the silver in that asteroid. So we'll get closer. And I will swap around to my collector drone and my mining lasers and put all my power into my weapons. There we go. You can see all the chunks coming off. And you can also see the minerals remaining in this asteroid going down. There we go. In just one shot, in one capacitor charge, I managed to completely decimate that asteroid. So now,
Programming limpet drone.
we're going to be firing off our collector limpet drones. What you've got to do is you've got to deploy your cargo scoop, which we've done, and now you can see resources unallocated. So we have to go across into here, refine the silver and refine the Bertrandite. So these two drones are coming back and giving us even more materials. And there we go, there's the lepidolite, so we'll refine that one. And now what we can do is we can actually go and have a look in the external view. And we can watch these drones actually do their job, which is actually picking up the materials and actually coming and bringing them back to the ship. And once we have actually collected everything, they will just come and hover around and follow you. But we can't hang around forever because, as we saw before, these things do actually have a limited lifespan. So let's swap back to our Prospector limpet and fire one off at this asteroid here. Now I can't remember if I've checked this one already, but it's only going to cost me one drone.
Prospector limpet engaged.
Oh, there we go. We have one of the new materials here. We have osmium. So what we're going to do is we are also going to go and swap over again to our collector drones. These ones are still working, but let's just mine this rock. And even as we're mining, the collector drones will actually go out and pick up the materials and come and bring them back. Okay, so let us go and actually start processing that osmium. Now, even though there we go. Even though my weapons capacitor went down to absolute minimum, I was still able to fire off one of my medium beam lasers completely constantly. The second one just kicked in every so often, so I could decide to either stay and keep mining, or I could have waited to recharge, but either way, I get mined in about the same amount of time. Oh, resources unallocated, so we now have to go and refine that one. So now we have 1 ton of lepidolite. We've almost got a ton of silver, almost a ton of Bertrandite, and we're getting close to a ton of osmium as well, which is one of the 2 new materials that have been are being released in 1.3. Oh, resources unallocated again. I didn't spot that one. Oh, we got some uranite this time. So as you can see, having a good amount of hoppers really does help this process. If I only had 3 hoppers, I wouldn't be able to do this quite so easily and quite so fast. And now we've got 1 ton of osmium. So that is awesome. And the limpets are still going and still actually getting us some materials. So now we've got 2 tons of lepidolite. So that is pretty much how you would go about actually mining post 1.3. So again, I'll show you quickly again. Fire off one last prospector drone. Targeted as it goes in.
Prospector limpet engaged.
And there we go. We have a 19% lepidolite. Again, this doesn't sell for all that much, so I'm not that excited about it. So I would then go off and move on to a different asteroid. I'm pretty sure we've tried checking that one out. So let's have a look at this one quickly.
Programming limpet drone.
And one thing you will have to take notice of is every time you're firing off one of these drones, your cargo hatch will close. So you will speed up.
Prospector limpet engaged.
There we go. Bertrandite, lepidolite, and gallite. And again, it is at 100%. So we could just mine this out, and the two collector drones will go out and pick everything up for us. So this just goes to show how fast you can actually go about mining tons and tons of mineable materials. I mean, I've been in here for less than 10 minutes, and yet I still have 3 tons of materials, and pretty much 2 more on the way. So that is quite nice. I mean, we have Bertrandite here. Why not? Let's just finish off the last ton.
Collector limpet expired. Asteroid
There we go.
depleted.
One of the collector limpets has actually expired, so what we need to do is we need to swap over to the collectors, and then we need to fire off one more, and then
deploy cargo hatch.
there we go. It said deploy cargo hatch limpet error because I was firing off another limpet. But now we actually have everything coming in, and every time one of the collector limpets, there we go, that's the other one gone. Then we can fire off a second one, and then they will just keep going, collecting everything and coming back. So all I have to do now is just slightly micromanage everything that's going on in the hoppers and with the drones. And I don't even need to go and scoop things up anymore, which is absolutely amazing. Especially since each drone is only about 110 credits each, so that's really not a lot. But anyway guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I do hope it has actually given you an idea of what mining will be, or is, post 1.3, depending on when you're actually watching this, because as you can see, I am still on the beta server now. But if you have enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It really does help my channel out. If you haven't already, hit that great big subscribe button to join the Wolf Pack. You will get updates from whenever I release new videos. And also check out the links to my partnered channels below my subscribe button. They really do put some really hard work into their videos. And as always, Commanders, until next time, keep flying and stay shiny.